Hi, this is Sean D'Souza, and you're listening to the 3-Month Vacation Podcast. This podcast isn't some magic trick about how to work less. Instead, it's about how to really enjoy the work that you do and to enjoy your vacation time. Hi, it's Sean, and you're listening to the 3-Month Vacation. Think of a 5-year-old waiting for his birthday to arrive. That's me. I'm very much still 5 in my brain. Hence, I don't tend to just have a birthday. Instead, I have a birth month. And last year, for my birth month, we did the usual. In November, right at the start of November, we put up the Christmas tree like we always do. We had a party. And then we were off for a week to Hokianga, which is in the north of New Zealand. And there was one big surprise. The luxury lodge owner where we were staying knew of my birthday, and we were treated to a fancy dinner. And of course, a cake. Imagine a cake almost as wide as a pizza and stacked 8 inches high. It was a lovely thought for someone to bake the cake. However, it was too much for the two of us. Approximately, this is what happens when we're trying to attract clients as well. The client is drawn to that big cake, that whatever we're giving them, whatever we're saying, and they like our ideas, they like our concepts. But then we give them too much. Not surprisingly, we lose the client. Hence, the idea itself is not enough, and what you need is a subset. A subset is a slice of the cake, one tiny slice, a small, doable, consumable portion that the client can understand and they can implement. And we can do this with an example. So let's take the topic of marketing. If you tell a prospect he needs to improve his marketing, he gets the idea. He knows that he has to promote his business somehow, but marketing is a concept. It's so vague that you can't understand what you're supposed to do. So what should he do first? What should that client do first? And more importantly, what should you do as someone who's selling the product or service? You know that you have to get the prospect to figure out that they should use your services or your products. But the term marketing, that is too abstract. When I started out in marketing, I too was quite fuzzy about what I did. I didn't know how to get the idea of marketing across. If I told people that I was in marketing, they would nod their heads as though they understood, and they probably did. Yet, the abstract idea wasn't getting me any business. Luckily, I stumbled onto this subset quite by mistake. I just moved to New Zealand and I was keen to network, both for work and to make new friends. And that led me to be curious about what others did for a living. I'd go to my networking meeting and I'd ask the person, "What do you do?" And they would say something vague, like, "I'm in real estate," or "I'm a physical trainer." And that's as helpful as someone saying, "I'm a Martian." I understand the title, I understand what a real estate person is supposed to be, but I'm unsure about what to do next. So if my cousin wants to sell her house, should I send her to the real estate agent? And what if the agent is not into residential but commercial real estate? Or what if the agent was into residential but only operated on the North Shore? So many questions are unanswered, they lay unanswered. And time again, you ask people, "What do you do?" Or you try to get them to explain their business, and they give you this vague term, and you don't know what it is that they're supposed to do. So after a few rounds of questions, I'd get the real essence of what they did from all the back and forth. Let's take this line. I sell houses to people who want polished taps. What does that mean? For one, a concept like that instantly gets attention because it's curious. What do you mean by people who want polished taps? But on prying further, you realize that there are many types of buyers. Me, I'm a polished tap kind of guy. I have barely used the hammer in my life, and if you ask me to do any fixing around the house, well, I'll get to it in about 10 years. Hence, if I'm the property buyer, I'm keen to purchase a shiny new house, no fixing, no DIY, certainly no patching up. And yes, that means that the taps will be gleaming too. The real estate wasn't just the real estate agent anymore. With my help, they had a line, then they had an explanation. In turn, I realized that I wasn't selling the vague, oversized concept of marketing. Instead, I was giving them a slice of the cake, a tiny subset. My job was to make their marketing statement clear and curious. Small and doable is what makes the subset powerful. So let's take another few examples, another few subsets. We'll call it the main concept and then the subset. Let's start out with the first one. The main concept, article writing. The subset, writing articles that are curious without sounding like clickbait. Second example, main concept, article writing. Subset, how to get engaging subheads when writing an article. Third example, main concept, article writing. How to write a show-stopping first line for any article. Next example, cartooning. The subset, how to draw a cartoon whale in just 5 minutes. And finally, cooking Indian food, and the subset, how to make a tasty dal in under 7 minutes. So these are all big topics, and then what we're doing is we're bringing it down to a subset. When that slice of cake is small, it's more tangible, it's easier to eat. Every business is vague, and when we bring up the concepts, we don't always understand why the client's eyes glaze over. However, when you chop that idea down to itty-bitty pieces, you immediately see their eyes lighting up. And you have the steps. You start out with a broad, vague topic. Step 1, I sell coffee. Step 2, I show you how to tell premium from cheap beans instantly. And step 3, you expand that into a paragraph. So you take whatever you said in step 2, which is I can show you how to tell premium from cheap beans, and then you expand that. And then the client wants to know more. By the time the client has gone to step 3, they want you to show them how to get to the next stage. Now, you might have a system, or you should have a system that shows them how to pick the most suitable coffee. Your subset might be a free service, it might be a paid one. It'll depend on your strategy. Sometimes you can do it to draw in the client, and at other times it's a big chunk of your business, and so clients will be expected to pay for it. What the subset does is it makes everything doable, tangible, and that's the core of it. Whatever you're selling, whether it's coffee or marketing or personal training or real estate, that's vague to most people. They understand it, but they can't do anything with it. And what you're doing is you're giving them a tool, you're giving them that tiny bit that they can implement, or they can at least understand at a doable level. But can a subset be too small? Usually no. Take, for example, the concept of drawing a cartoon whale in a few minutes. You think, wait, that doesn't make you a cartoonist. But the moment the client goes through that tiny subset, they want to draw an aardvark, and then they want to draw a camel. And they realize, wait a second, I've always told people that I can't draw a straight line, but here's a system, here is a subset that's allowing me to draw A and B and C and D, and it's only been 20 minutes. What else could I do over the next week or the next month or the next year? And so that tiny subset becomes the doorway through which the client enters. And it's doable, which is the most critical thing of all. As you can tell, this podcast was pretty short, and that's because it's a subset. It's showing you how to create a subset, which is kind of meta. But the point is that you want to create a subset rather than just say, I'm in marketing, I'm in real estate, whatever. And that's the one thing that you can do today. Take one little bit out of it, almost like you were going to write an article or something. And that is something that the client can latch on to, and that opens the doorway to everything else. But it also increases their understanding of what you do. And that itself is the best way to get clients. So what's happening in psychotactics land? Well, the last time I forgot to tell you, but the pre-sale is on the 15th of May. So we are going to have 25 copies of that course, which is downloadable, and it's on the 15th of May. So you have to go to psychotactics.com/pre-sale. When you get to the page, you'll see exactly what it's all about. It's one of the superpowers that we have at Psychotactics, which is to pre-sell everything so that we don't waste weeks and weeks promoting it after, sending you, oh, wait, these seconds are, bouncing off and there's this countdown timer. No, none of that nonsense. You'll find it at psychotactics.com/pre-sale. Go there, join the waiting list, and get the goodies. That's me saying bye for now. Bye-bye. Still listening? One of the hardest things to do this year has been to kind of work out how to do this 3-month vacation. Normally I'd do a course like an article writing course or a copywriting course, and then that kind of formed a natural endpoint. When the course finished, after a few days, we get on a plane and go someplace. Go to Europe, go to India, go to Vietnam, whatever. And this year, we have been very fortunate in New Zealand in the sense that New Zealand is almost like 2019, barring a few lockdowns here and there. But for the most part of 2020 and now 2021, we've been able to go everywhere within New Zealand. We can't leave the country, and you can't really enter the country anyway. But it's been weird because there are only so many places you can go to in New Zealand, and I think that we've seen quite a few. What makes it interesting for me now, however, is photography, because I'm seeing the whole world in a different light. You see different people, different situations, and I've started to record New Zealand as it unfolds. The people, the buildings, even Auckland, for instance. So many of the buildings are coming down because the whole plan has changed for Auckland, and so many of the older houses are coming down. And one day, these photographs hopefully will be some kind of historical record, which is what I like to do. I like to keep a record of things. But there is a way to see things anew, and I don't know, I guess I'm rambling a bit here, but it would have been harder if I didn't have photography. So I think in a way we have to invent something that keeps us busy even when things are not going our way. I'm having fun. I hope you are too. And I'll say bye for now, and I'll see you in 5000 BC. Bye-bye. Oh, and don't forget to create your subset. Hasta luego.